Hey YouTube, I'm Lucky, and we're going to talk about what was potentially the worst weekend of Trials ever. Yes, that's right, I'm talking about Exodus Blue. Last weekend in Trials was considered one of the worst weekends of Trials in all of Trials history. If you played Trials at any point last time, let me know in the comment section below what your experience was like, because almost everyone from content creator to player really hated this weekend of Trials, and I'm going to let you know why. First off, Iron Banner was out, so a lot of people were split on whether or not do they want to play Trials or do they want to play Iron Banner. And that is always a recipe for disaster, because as soon as the player base splits between two different PvP activities, you see the numbers go down, the queue times go up. I started to match multiple teams back to back, the same teams, which doesn't even make sense with card-based matchmaking. I started to match some people with extreme latency. I started to match tons and tons of cheaters, and there was pretty much just tons of sweaty teams out there. Because the majority of the people who play Trials in a more casual manner were not playing this weekend because the loot was also terrible. It was compounded by Iron Banner being out, and the loot was terrible. 3 wins was the Rocket and 5 wins was the Scout, so anyone who's just trying to get that casual Trials experience and just get maybe 3 wins or 5 wins with their team and doesn't really care that much about Flawless, they were not playing this weekend. They were playing Iron Banner instead, or they were doing something else. And the data from this weekend is just astoundingly low, and we're going to cover that here for you in the Trials meta report. Here we go. Exodus Blue, there was 125,000 players, and as I've mentioned before, Trials on average has about 200,000 players from weekend to weekend inside Destiny 2, which is pretty good considering that back in the early days of Trials of the Nine, in its most dead time, we had around 50,000 players, which was like Trials was dead, finito, and I've mentioned it many times. If Trials inside Destiny 2 dips below 100k players, we might as well just cancel the whole project altogether, because it truly ruins the fun of the playlist. When it's sub 100,000 players, you match the same people all the time, tons of latency, and now with the addition of Steam, there's going to be tons of cheaters and nothing but sweaty teams, and it's really not a fun experience at all. Trials, in my opinion, for it to be a healthy, fun experience, needs to be around 300,000 players. When Trials is around 300,000 players, it tends to be a really fun, nice weekend, and people tend to say a lot more positive things about it, both on the content creator side and on the player side. And with 125,000 players cumulative played, not at one point in time, not a peak at one point, cumulative, that is extremely low numbers, and that is becoming a borderline dead playlist from that point. Hopefully, fingers crossed, Bungie pays attention to this, they understand this, and they don't let the Rocket, the Scout, or the Fusion be the 3-win reward ever again in Trials. It's such a bad idea. It takes all of the casual players, all the people who are just playing Trials to have fun and don't really care that much, they just want to get some weapons, and it launches them out of the playlist. They don't give a shit about Trials anymore, they don't play it at all. We need the good weapons to be at least at 3 wins. At 5 and 7, you can put some of the bad stuff if you have to, but at the very least, just have one of the good loot drops at the 3 wins. I'm talking the auto rifle, the shotgun, or even the sniper. These are some of the best loot drops that you can get from 3 wins. At least just keep one of those down there, so that way we can keep the playlist numbers up as we progress into an extreme Destiny drought. As the expansion got delayed by 2 months, we are certainly going to experience record-breaking low numbers in Trials from here until November, and I'm scared to actually report on that. Now, going over the data, Felwinter's Lie was the most used weapon from this. No surprises here. As I've mentioned many times before, the strongest weapon in the game. I even made a video talking about the best build you can use if you want to get carried inside Trials of Osiris, and I mentioned using the Felwinter's Lie. And make sure you're extra attentive to not pay too much attention to YouTube comments sometimes, because one of the top comments was saying, no, don't use the Felwinter's Lie. Use a Truth Teller with Disruption Break instead. The YouTube comments can be filled with such interesting people sometimes, so definitely don't pay attention to that comment, because the Felwinter's Lie is the most powerful gun in the game. The stats don't lie. The second most powerful is the Revoker Sniper. Obviously, it has that insane perk on it. That will be the strongest until sunsetting. The Gnawing Hunger, the most powerful, most used auto rifle. I still think that the Suros is better because it has perks on it that allow you to get the first kill a little bit more optimal than the second kill. Gnawing Hunger has kill clip on it though, so once you get 1 kill, you get that kill clip proc, you're just absolutely decimating people. I do agree that the Gnawing Hunger is super strong, but the problem is that you can't mix the Gnawing Hunger and the Felwinter at the same time, so you end up having to use the Astral Horizon, which is good, but not a lot of people have that, or the God Roll of that. So truly, the easiest and the best loadout to use is a Suros Regime and a Felwinter's Lie. You don't have to agree with me, but I'm telling you right now, the stats don't lie. That's the best loadout, the strongest loadout to use, and it's super easy to use. Suros is like the easiest gun to use. The 4th most used weapon, which is very surprising, was actually the hand cannon, the Dire Promise. We have not seen hand cannons rise this high up in a while. But because of the style of the map, I think there's a lot of objects here and there. You're able to close the distance and actually get into that optimal hand cannon range on Exodus Blue. And the 5th most used weapon is the Surge Regime, as I mentioned, one of the best ARs, my personal favorite because it was my first exotic in D1. I love this gun so much because it was my baby. It was my first exotic I ever got. I've always liked it from D1 until now, and I always will. The 6th most used weapon is the Beloved, one of the best snipers out there. Definitely a better, more agile sniper than the Revoker, but of course doesn't give you those free ammo perks, so not going to be as popular. Mindbender's Ambition, if you don't have the Felwinter's Lie because it's not available this season, the Mindbender is your only option, so definitely use that in the energy slot. The Summoner, the strongest auto rifle because it has the highest aim assist auto rifle, so if you're a controller user on either console or on PC, this is going to be the auto rifle for you. This has such strong aim assist, it really grabs onto people and you can just melt people. I highly recommend using the Summoner if you're on a controller or if you're on console. The Bastion slipped into the number 9 spot. Such a strong weapon. I saw this utilized a few times this weekend. I picked up some people from the raffle and they were using the Bastion and they were able to absolutely decimate people. And the 10th most used weapon is the Astro Horizon. No surprises here. A ton of special ammo weapons in the top 10. Special ammo being so much more lethal than primaries. So of course we're going to see a ton of them in the top 10. And there you have it. That is the Trials Meta Report. That is reporting on what was considered one of the worst weekends. This is the second lowest player base count since Trials of Osiris returned to Destiny 2. The second lowest weekend. And with the drought coming in, we can only imagine that the numbers are going to get lower and lower and lower unless Bungie can somehow spice it up with some good weapons here and there, or maybe some good maps here and there. We'll see. My fingers are crossed. I'm hoping that we don't dip below 100,000 player base within Trials of Osiris and Destiny 2. That would feel like a very big fail. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Do you think that between here and November, we will actually experience a true dead week, a sub 100,000 players within Trials of Osiris and D2? What has been your favorite weapon to use inside the Crucible as of recent? Let me know in the comments below. Make sure to subscribe if you want more content like this, and I'll see you in the next one. Later.